Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders for preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And I say shalom to you Akim out there. And this is a recent news article. I believe this happened Sunday night over there in the Middle East. This is by the Jerusalem Post staff, published February 13th, 2023, and last updated February 13th, 2023. And it reads from the Jerusalem Post. And this is world news, alternative world news around the world, and it reads, IDF, which is the Israeli Defense Force, strikes Hamas underground rocket factory in the Gaza Strip. And it says the Israelis' airstrikes followed the IDF interception of a rocket that has been fired from Gaza. And it says the IDF struck in underground rocket factory in the Gaza Strip Sunday night in a response to a rocket that was fired towards Israel on Saturday. So it's kind of like a retaliation thing. According to the IDF spokesperson unit reports, it says the strike was followed by 4 rockets shot through Israel from Gaza. And as you see right here, the Israel Defense Force from Twitter says, in a response to the Saturday's rocket launch from Gaza into Syria, the IDF fire jets struck overnight in a underground complex containing raw materials used for the manufacture of rockets belonging to the Hamas organization. And it says, from Israel Defense Force once again. In the second part from Twitter, they tweeted, the IDF holds Hamas responsible for all of the you-know-what activities emanating from Gaza. It was face the consequences of the security violations against Israel. And it says the IDF reported, adding that it tanks unit attacked Palestinian you-know-what military posts on the border with Gaza. It says the IDF airstrike follows Gaza rocket fired from towards Israel on Saturday. It says sirens were active and red alert was given in Kibbutz near the Gaza Strip, if I pronounced that right, after a rocket was launched. However, it was intercepted by the IDF, which is the Israeli Defense Force. And it says the Sha'ar HaNegef Regional Council spokesperson stated that no impact was detected in the area and no damage or injuries occurred. So I think that's it on that. And keep this in mind, this goes into what have been unfolding for the past month or so about the increasing of hostilities between both sides, So that's why there's going to be no continuing peace in the Middle East, And I believe it was a recent one. It was about reporting of 2 stabbings reported from Palestinians. They was trying to stab an Israeli, I believe. So I believe they shot and killed the person that perpetrated the stabbing, which occurred. I believe either it was today or the day before yesterday. So those were 2 recent incidents of a potential stabbing over there in the Middle East. So So that's why you're going to continue to have these hostilities between both sides, Just like that recent incident happened about 2 or 3 days ago. I did a sit-down lesson on it of a Palestinian had rammed his car. I believe it was in northern Jerusalem. He rammed his car into pedestrians at a northern Jerusalem bus stop in that region, and I believe he killed like 2 people, and a couple were injured. And then with the recent stabbings of over there in Jerusalem as well too. So that's why you're not gonna have no any peace over there in the Middle East, the so-called Middle East, which we call it, And I'm gonna bring out 2 scriptures. So it's gonna continue to have hostility against both of those nations. You're gonna have continuing increasing hostility between those 2 nations. The resistance from Hamas, which is an organization group, which is back over there in the Gaza Strip. Then you're gonna have the Palestinians continue to do increasing revenge attacks against the Israelis, which is the Israeli Defense Force. So you're gonna have this continuing increase of hostility against both sides. And this is matter of fact, I'm gonna bring out the Luke. I'm gonna bring out the Luke 21:9. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 9. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, which we're hearing right now, the Israelis versus the Palestinians, the Hamas organization groups over there in the Gaza Strip versus the Israelis, the Israeli Defense Force, they going back and forth at it with each other on that. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 9. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be ye not terrified, for these things must first come. For these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by right, because you're going to have more increasing of these things taking place, between both sides on the Israeli Defense Force side versus the Palestinians, This is Matthew 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, which we're seeing right now. The Israelis, which is the Israeli Defense Force, versus the Palestinians. These things going to increase more and more and more. The hostility between both sides is going to increase more and more and more. Matthew 24:7, and it reads through the Holy Scriptures, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in diverse places. In Matthew 24:8, and it reads, all these are the beginning of sorrows, right? These are the beginning of increasing signs of our sorrows, of these things taking place. I'm going to the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25. It reads, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and the stars, and upon the earth the stress of nations were perplexed, and the seas and raised roaring. Right, we're seeing the uncertainty of the rise and increasing of the stress of nations. That's why we're going to continue to see the increases of uproars in the people in the world, the hostility between 2 different nations, the hostility of citizens of these countries that are going against their leaders of their country. So you're going to have continuing uproars, you're going to have continuing uncertainty of that's why it says the stress of nations. That's what you're going to see, and it's going to increase more and more and more, as time progresses on in these modern day times. So this was just a recent news that I wanted to bring out as of Sunday night. As you hear, this is like more of a retaliation from the Israeli Defense Force, because you already have a hostility been increasing throughout the whole month of January and entering February as well too. As he says, the Israeli Defense Force strikes Hamas underground rocket factory in the Gaza Strip. So you're going to have this hostility, commotions, wars, increasing proxy wars between these two different nations. It's just going to increase more and more and more over there in the Middle East, from the Gaza Strip all the way into Israel, you know. So with that, once again, hopefully this lesson was edifying. And I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakar double honors to the elders for preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim scattered to the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely as well too. And until next time, I will say shalom.